My name is Erica Watson. Welcome to the Philadelphia Business Leaders video series. I'm here today with Lauriena Borstein. She is the Senior Vice President of Operations for Rita's Italian Ice. Welcome.
Thank you.
Okay. Give us a little bit of history on Rita's Italian Ice.
Okay. Well, Rita's was founded in Philadelphia by a Philadelphia firefighter, actually. So, water ice, as it's known, or water. I'm not a Philadelphian naturally, so I don't have.
You said it right.
I did. Okay. So he started it with his mother Betty on a front porch of a house, and the idea was that they would take the classic Italian ice or water ice and make it the best possible. So fresh ingredients, made fresh every day, really focusing on the consistency of the product, and they did it really well. They grew it to a 300-store business, adding custard eventually, and then gelatis and mistos later, before they sold it in 2005 to McKnight Capital Partners to really take it to the next level and expand out of the Mid-Atlantic region. Today we're at a little over 600 stores and international. So
yes.
All started by a Philadelphia firefighter, his mom, and his brother.
Good. As you said, the company has seen tremendous growth.
Yeah.
Over 600 stores now, from a small kind of storefront, porch front, if you will, entity into an international franchise. What makes franchising unique for what began as a regional product?
That's a great question. So what's interesting about franchising is it allows somebody to own their own business. They're an entrepreneur, but they're not a pure entrepreneur. They're in business for themselves, but not by themselves. So they have our recipes, our procedures, our support. We help with everything from site selection. We handle all of the distribution, product development, marketing materials, teaching them everything that they need to know and supporting them throughout the term of their franchise agreement. So franchising isn't for everyone. Sometimes there's pure entrepreneurs that want to be able to make every decision in their business, but it's a great tool for people to get into business, but take some of that risk away for them.
That's true. You began your career here at Rita's as Director of Franchising. Tell us a little bit more about your career journey with the company.
I actually started out, I think my title was Franchise Licensing Manager, so I was doing franchise sales, so completely different than where I am now. In franchise sales, it was kind of interesting because you're meeting people who are interested in owning their own business and a franchise, and you get to tell them about the story, and everyone who's looking at buying a Rita's is always interested because they're really excited about the product. They love the product. They have a emotional connection to the brand, whether they're looking to open in Atlanta or California. That's 99% of the time the case. So you get to understand why they want to own their own business, getting back into the workforce after being a stay-at-home parent, some form of retirement income, putting their child into business. So you get to work with them through that process, but once they signed the franchise agreement, they were on to our development team and our operations team. So that's what I was doing a little bit on the franchise sales side. 2009 is when I became the director of franchising. I was actually on maternity leave with my daughter when I got that promotion, which is kind of interesting and exciting, but I think, says that you can find a way to do everything, advance in your career, but still start a family, which is great. I had a great time in that period, 2009 through 2011. Worked with the McKnight partners, our ownership then, to sell the company to our current owners, Falcon Head. When they bought the company in late 2011, is when I became Senior Vice President of Operations.
Okay.
Now, in that role, I've done a lot of different things, supply chain, real estate, construction, training, and field operations.
Okay. What are some of the challenges of operating nationally?
Well, the biggest challenge we have is going into a new market and people not understanding the product and gaining brand awareness. There's a lot of product education and brand education that needs to take place, and a lot of it falls on the franchisee. They're the local operator, and grassroots marketing is critical to our business. So it's a lot of training and time working with franchisees, teaching them how to get into the community to build brand recognition. Until we have a critical mass of stores, there really isn't the ad dollars for, larger things like you see a Subway, 30,000 units, TV marketing. You're not going to have that with a Rita's when you go into a new market. So, marketing is definitely one piece, brand recognition, but also you have to work out the logistics. So there's a supply chain that goes into it. How do you get the product that's made in Philadelphia or southern New Jersey to California? And then how do you support those franchisees? When there's only one store, we're not going to have a field rep there. So we have to coordinate getting there enough to be able to provide them the education and training that they need to be successful. So a lot goes into it, and it involves a lot of cross-functional teamwork to put it all together.
All right. There's an international location in China, correct?
In the Philippines.
In the Philippines, okay.
Yeah.
What are some potential other international locations?
We actually have, I believe it's 3 open in the Philippines now, and 1 in Dubai, and a few in Canada. So we've expanded quite a bit this year, and are looking to continue to expand throughout the next couple of years. The franchisees in the Philippines are actually looking at developing other markets in Asia as well. So they've had tremendous success.
Okay. Rita's has over 1 million followers on Facebook. A lot of people say it's a cult following. It's a very popular product here in the region. A Smart CEO article quotes Laura Lazar as saying people are passionate about this product. How important are brand and product recognition as you look to expand?
It's really important. Another piece that's kind of important to that is taking our brand and kind of localizing it for that community. So we've done some things like in California, taking our Ice Guy mascot and California-izing it, making it Surfer Guy. We look at regional flavors and demographics in markets. Flavors like horchata, we've added things like that to try to fit with the market to help educate them on what our products are. Flavors that they're more familiar with, or things that are more appealing to that audience.
Okay. All right. At 33 years old, what are some of the challenges of having such a coveted position?
Well, the obvious big challenge was the doubters or the naysayers, or understanding that people, even people that work for you, people that are your peers, and sometimes people that are your friends, might say things or have concerns about your ability to do the job. So a big part of the challenge for me was separating myself from the noise and focusing on what I thought my ability was, and understanding that I wouldn't be put in this role if I wasn't capable of doing it, and focusing on everything that I needed to do to be successful. When I got my first big promotion here, the one when I was on maternity leave in 2009, when I came in and met with our then CEO, he said to me, it's like, I really like you and I want you to be successful, but you have to understand, and I'm telling you this because you're young, if it doesn't work out, you're not going to have a job. And I thought it was good advice. It seems harsh at the time, but I was like, well, I appreciate it. I know what I have to do, and I can focus on doing it. What was interesting coming into this role as Senior Vice President of Operations is most of the field team that was working with me have been in food service operations for 10 to 20 years. Okay. So they clearly way more experience in what they were doing, and they're a field team, so I don't have the opportunity to have face-to-face time with them every day. So what was really important for me to gain credibility quickly was to spend as much time with them as possible, and to focus on making sure they knew that I knew I didn't know everything, but I was committed to learning it, and it was a process we were going to go through together to take the department forward. And I think it takes time. You have to have patience and be realistic with the expectations you have on yourself, and focus on what you're doing. 33 is an interesting age because, like I said, I was starting a family. I had a young daughter, taking on a job with significant responsibility, a lot of additional travel. So what I always found to be best for me is to focus 100% on what you're doing when you're doing it. So if I am meeting with someone on the field team, I'm paying 100% attention to that person on the field team. If I'm at home, I'm paying 100% attention to my daughter. And if you're able to do that, people respect that they have your attention, and you keep focused.
Okay. I understand there was an egg crisis over the summer. Talk about the impact that had on one of your key products.
So custard, what differentiates custard from soft serve or ice cream is that it has egg. There has to be a certain percentage of egg in it to be considered custard. So the egg crisis was actually caused by the avian flu.
Okay.
I believe it wiped out 50 million birds, something like that.
Wow.
So not all eggs were unaccessible, but the particular kind of eggs that we used were really affected. We used sugared egg yolks. So our suppliers stopped making sugared egg yolks. We had to make some very quick decisions. When we heard about the avian flu, we got ahead of it. We tried some soft serve products that didn't have egg to figure out which product we would transition to should we end up in a position where we were unable to procure sugared egg yolks. So we did have that advantage that we had picked out a backup product before we actually found out we couldn't source our product. At that point, what was crucial was communication, making sure that franchisees are aware of what's going on, that we're very open and honest. We had a system call with all of our franchisees, walking them through step by step what happened, what we were going to do, how it would impact them, and what next steps were. And keeping them updated along the way has been key. We're actually just beginning to reintroduce custard to our stores right now. But it was a challenging time, a lot because franchisees had a significant amount of fear. That's their core business is in the summer. A lot of our seasonal stores, so our East Coast, Mid-Atlantic stores, are really only open 7 months a year. So they're losing a product that makes up 60% of our product mix in their core months. Fortunately, we haven't seen an impact on sales because of transitioning to the soft serve product. Most stores saw no interruption from custard to soft serve, which is really good, but we're very excited to have our custard back. Very excited.
I'm sure loyal customers are as well.
Yeah, franchisees certainly are too.
Yes. All right, so as you said, most franchises operate 7 months out of the year.
Right.
We'll discuss some of the impact that might have on someone considering becoming a franchisee, on how to make up the volume for those closed months that they're unable to operate.
Right. That's a very common question we get when we get potential franchisees into the office looking at buying the franchise. We have about 250 stores that are open year-round, so the rest are seasonal. And where it becomes a challenge is just cash flow management. In your shoulder months, your cash flow is going to be lighter. In your winter months, it's going to be negative because you do have some fixed expenses still, minimal utilities, you still have rent, and if they have any type of debt, they still have those payments in the winter months. So that's part of what we work with franchisees on is cash flow management. What you have to focus on is bringing your highs higher and then your bottom comes up. So we try to get them to concentrate on their summer months. Bring in new guests, get more loyal followers because we'll get those repeat transactions. They're not going to come as much in the fall as they did during the summer. People get back into routines, back to school, sports. But if we're bringing our summer months up, we're getting more new guests, our fall months come up too. So we just focus on the total year-round volume and then teaching them to manage expenses in the shoulder months and cash flow management in the off-season. And that's even true in our year-round markets because seasonality is seasonality. It's not so much about weather. it can be 70 and sunny in LA every single day.
Which it always is.
It always is. But it's like the baseball season or the school year.
Mm-hmm.
Once people get in a different routine, transactions come down. So it's it ebbs and flows.
For our business students watching, what are some of the core qualities needed to successfully operate in management, whether it's a startup company or whether it's a company of this size?
I think communication skills are the number one most important thing that you need, and even for our franchisees. So, whatever the business student was looking to do, being able to articulate those great ideas that you have is the most important thing. To work cross-functionally is always important, so to have good sense of teamwork and accountability for your work as part of a team is critical, especially when you're in a high growth, high change mode. You have to be willing to make course corrections and adjustments on the fly as you go, because change happens fast. Mm-hmm. And you have to embrace it and work with it and make sure that everyone's aware of what's going on.
How important is social media and brand recognition and marketing and just getting the brand out, the name?
For our franchisees, that's critical, especially in a new market, where I said our number one challenge is gaining that brand recognition, getting people to understand the product. When they're trying to integrate themselves into the community, social media is a great way to do that. There's so much competition in the treat sector. So if you think about it, you have frozen yogurts, you have fast food that does affordable treats, Burger King with a 50-cent cone. You have convenience stores that are doing milkshakes and treats aren't something that you have to have. You don't have to eat. So you have to eat a sandwich. You don't have to eat an ice cream or Italian ice. So you have to differentiate yourself. And what differentiates our Rita's locations, besides our fresh-made, delicious, high-quality products, is the franchisee and getting involved with the community. And social media and sharing, letting guests share their experience at your store and sharing what you're doing in the community is a great, great way to do that. And it's free.
What's the best part of your job?
People. Whether it's the guests, the franchisees, or the people that I work with, they're make every day interesting and exciting. The experience of going into a store, especially in a new market, and seeing how people are responding to the product it's incredible. You work so hard every day, in this little box to do something and to be out there in the field and see the impact that's having and see the finished product, the guests smiling and loving the product's a great experience. And working with the franchisees has been amazing too. They're all a very diverse group of people, but they're owner-operators in a lot of cases. So that's their source of income. That's how they're supporting their family. And working with them and watching them find success, growing their business is a lot of fun. Working with the team, of course, my favorite days are when we have the whole field team in and we're talking about what's going on and trying to problem solve and find solutions.
All right. Thank you so much for talking with us today. Again, this is the Philadelphia Business Leaders video series. Thank you for watching.
Thanks.